Let's face it, I'm a consumer. I buy things when I don't necessarily need them, but for some reason these things are attractive to me and I just want to have them in my collection. And towards the end of 2023, a lot of this stuff started showing up at my doorstep via Kickstarter, pre-orders, or I just happened to see something I liked and picked it up. And now I have kind of a big pile of stuff that was all intended to talk about on the channel, but I just need to kind of clear my backlog and just talk about all this stuff, why I bought it, and who knows if this is all going to show up on the channel, but I just need to clear my head, and this is the way I'm going to do it. So let's get into this. Welcome to Solitary RPG. So happy 2024. My year, well, it's not starting out on the best of situations. As you can tell, my wrist is in a brace. I had a terrible fall at work, fracturing my wrist, and I'm all scraped up, bruised my hip and my right elbow and my shoulder. So I'm just kind of a mess physically. But I did want to make this video. And I just want to be kind of upfront. Like, I'm a consumer. I get sucked into buying things that I don't necessarily need. But in my mind, I always justify these purchases as I'll use this product for this, or I'll do this with this. And many times stuff just gets purchased, put on my shelf, and I never get around to it because my time is limited because work. I have to go to a real job and spend a lot of time there, and my free time usually gets consumed up with other things. However, towards the end of 2023, I had some Kickstarters come in, I had some pre-orders come in, and there was just stuff I picked up because I thought it was cool and I just wanted to add it to my collection. And in this video, instead of doing like a 2023 year in review or any kind of like plans for future stuff on the channel, I was like, well, let's just have a little bit of fun and justify to myself why I purchased all this stuff and kind of where it's going to fall in my life moving forward a little bit. So let me just start pulling stuff out and go through it one step at a time. Let's start with the Walking Dead universe by Free League Publishing. Initially, I did not back this on Kickstarter because, well, to be honest, I don't really need another zombie game in my life, and I just wasn't that interested in it. However, once the review copies kind of started hitting the airwaves, and I saw that they actually put some effort behind the solo rules. Free League does a good job with solo rules, but sometimes they're not as strong as I would like them to be. But they did a really good job with the solo rules. So the reason I picked this up, I did the late backer pledge, and I picked this up because I really want to dive into the solo mechanics that they've created along with the stress mechanics for this game and see if it's something I can import into some other modern games like Twilight 2000, which I feel the solo rules for that game are terrible. And I was hoping maybe to port those over. But yeah, it's a nice system. It's Free League. Like, let's face it, Free League does some really nice books, and everything is just fantastic about this, along with art and just the layout and starter box. I love starter boxes. I wish more games did starter boxes. But you get all the dice and pre-rolled characters and stuff. I'm not going to do an in-depth review on this. My intentions and the reason I picked this up was just for the solo rules. And again, I want to port them over to Twilight 2000 or other modern games because I want to see how they would work. Since we're already talking about Free League, let's talk about Tales from the Lone Lands. This was another Lord of the Rings. I believe this was just a pre-order. I don't think this was a Kickstarter. I could be wrong. I don't recall. But either way, it's another Free League book. I have not played the solo rules for Lord of the Rings or the One Ring yet, but I do love the books. And sometimes just collecting books is part of the hobby. And from Free League, the two series of books that I really love how they've created them, The One Ring and Vaesen. Those are my favorite books. I buy them simply because I love reading them. I love the way they've, the art, the paper quality, everything Free League does with these books. If they ever change their ways on how they make these books, I'll probably stop collecting them. But yes, they are just gorgeous books. I love having them in my collection. I love reading them. One day I'll probably get The One Ring on my channel, but again, I'm just a consumer, and I picked this up as part of my collection for The One Ring. I've been spending some time looking at OSR or old school games, and Swords and Wizardry put out a new book, so I picked that one up. I just purchased this from their website. I was not a Kickstarter on it, but it is just old D&D kind of reimagined, reformatted. And then we have Ostrich, the Player's Guide. This was on Amazon. It was like $5. I thought it would be just a good resource book. I have not played Ostrich. I do not own it. Maybe I need to pick that up so I can have the companion in the main rule book. But I thought, since I'm doing so much research on old school type gaming, old D&D, I figured I'd pick up some books, and they weren't terribly expensive. I also got a Blue Hone's book. And again, these weren't expensive. They're just print on demand type products. But I'm just kind of getting them as resource material and just kind of trying to get a little bit of my head into the old school world for a reason. I'm trying to look at how other people have reimagined the rules or reorganized the rules, because I'm getting ready to learn old school essentials, which is again just another reimagining of D&D, but I'm not going to be playing in a fantasy world. Dark Places and Demigorgons. Yes, I back this. This is old school essentials, and I really am looking forward to this and want to learn more about everything this game has to offer. And I'm just excited about it. What I'm going to do one of these days, what my plan is to do with this, is I want to bring back Dead Mall. So one of the videos I am most proud of on this channel is the videos I did on Dead Mall, which is a one-page rule system about going into an abandoned dead mall. I put a lot of effort and nostalgia into a mall that I used to go to a lot as a kid, and I just want to take it to that next level. I had a theme behind that game, and I want to expand on that theme, and I want to use these rules because this is all about 1980s retro role-playing. And I just feel this can work for what I am trying to create, which is a 1980s. Me and my friends are in a band. We're going to be a metal band, obviously, because that's what I love. And we're going to go to Metro Center because one of our friends is going to disappear at Metro Center, and we're going to go look for them. And it's a dead mall and the whole concept. And I really want to play into that. That's why I picked this up. I just want to take something that started out as just a one-page rule and expand upon it. And I went in big. So I got the collector's edition, the regular edition. I got all the expansion material that it came with, like a bookmark, cards. I believe this is the group over that created all of this. Just a little thank you card over at Bloat Games. But yeah, that's why I picked this up. Another pickup I got, and this is kind of odd for me because I don't really talk about Warhammer 40k on the channel. But yeah, Imperium Maledictum. This was an influence purchase from my buddy over at Mr. Mean Speaks, John. He's a friend of mine I've known for many, many, many years. He has his own YouTube channel, Mr. Mean Speaks. I'll put a link in the description below. He does a lot of review of products. He's very knowledgeable in role-playing games. And when he was talking about this particular book, and again, I pre-ordered this through Cubicle 7, One of the things that caught my attention was there was a section in the rules that focused on what the players were doing between missions. It wasn't about the actual, like, going out and doing the work or doing the main role playing game. It was the downtime stuff. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. I would love to run something in the Warhammer 40K universe, but I don't feel playing solo. That is something I want to put a lot of effort in. It's hard for me to get my head around playing 40K as a role playing game because I play it as a tabletop game and I just know how brutal, those game mechanics are. So sometimes it's hard for me to wrap my head around playing it as a role playing game. But I thought maybe those rules, those downtime rules, would be fun to explore. Fortunately, it turns out there's just a couple pages of them, and there's not a lot of depth to those downtime rules. So maybe it's one of those things that I can explore and put a little bit more effort into them to make it something more playable, something more entertaining, to just living a normal life in the 40K universe. It's a weird concept, I know, but it is something that I am interested in doing. But yeah, that's why I picked it up. I was influenced by an influencer. Go figure that one out. Marketing sometimes plays a big role in my purchasing. And sometimes when I see something that's just unique and creative in the way that it's packaged and put together and the art on the cover, I just kind of get sucked into it. So these games are just kind of all in one, kind of made like a VHS tape horror style game or suspense style game, but they do come with solo rules. And I picked them up because I am a sucker for marketing. And it looks like a VHS tape. It was just really cool, and I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. And then when I got them home and opened them up, I was even more excited about them all because they've included everything. This is your rule book, so it's about the size of the VHS tape, and it is got a lot of rules. So this is like a real full-fledged role-playing game. It's not just a simple board game, and the solo rules actually go into different sets of mechanics so that you can play solo. It's not just play two characters or do something like that. It actually has separate rules. They were designed for solo play. I've kind of dove into one of them and read it and looked it over, and again, just got busy with other things. But I do really love the concept here and the marketing. You get these little fold out adventure maps that go with the game and all the adventure information. And these are just self-contained adventures in the box. You get all your character cards and monster cards, and you get some tokens to represent the board where your characters are at on the boards. You're going to put your tokens down in the different sections. They're all lettered, and you have reference information on the back. And just a really awesome concept. I liked the packaging, and I liked the way these were all put together. I do know that they recently had another Kickstarter where they're putting together some more of these, and everything about them just really caught my attention. And I haven't played them yet. I'm probably going to hold off on playing these until Halloween 2024. I'll probably do a little horror game video or something like that and really dive into these. But for right now, these are going to sit on my shelf. So this is Bloodlust. It's kind of your horror. Unchained, which is a little bit more suspenseful, and obviously Overplague is kind of an alien-esque type game. But they're all cool, and they were $30 at my local game store. I picked them all up, and I'll probably pick up the other ones when they come out. Speaking of awesome packaging, I kind of saw this also. This was shared on, I forget what YouTuber, I think it was either Lone Adventurer or Stonewall Gaming. I forget which. Someone did a video review, and I saw how this was packaged, and then I saw it at my local game store. and I just picked it up. I have not played anything Cyberpunk yet. Um, to me, it's just not something that I really have gotten into. It's just I have Cyberpunk from Morkborg, and I have all the Cyberpunk stuff, but I haven't done anything with it. So maybe this will be my motivation to do something with it. But like your character sheets, these are on like a thick laminate, so you can use a dry erase marker on them. And it's just a really cool packaged product. And I am a sucker for packaging, and this was just another one of them. And eventually this will end up someplace on my channel. I just don't know when. I have a lot of things I'm working on. But yeah, I fell for this simply because of the marketing type or the packaging, that it was how it was done. I just thought it was unique, and I just wanted to have it in my collection. And sometimes that's some of the reasons why we purchase the things that we purchase, is just it's part of the hobby, is buying stuff and having it in our collections. This was a pre-order from Amazon, of all places. And it's Monsters, Aliens, Holes in the Ground. This is a history book on all kinds of different role-playing games from Stu Horvath, who I am a fan of. He is one of the hosts of Vintage RPG, and I've always liked everything he shares on the channel. He goes deep into just some very odd games, old games, things that really spark my nostalgia. And as you can see, he's kind of got it broken all down with tabs on the side here of just different years when games come out. It's really just a great reference book into some of the old games and different publications of those old games, because some of these games have been around for a while, and they're on 5th, 6th, 7th editions of their games. And it's just good to read. This is kind of a coffee book. This is just something I keep out in the living room. And when my wife is watching something that I am not enjoying, I will just pull this up and just start reading about old games. That's why I picked it up. Again, I'm a fan, so sometimes as a fan, you support content creators and you pick up things, you support them, you buy things so that they can continue making content. And I am a fan of Stu Horvath, and that's why I picked this up. And it's also just a great piece of literature to just read. He's very knowledgeable about RPG games, the history of RPG games, and this just kind of showcases all that. Speaking of supporting content creators, this is another project that I supported on Kickstarter that arrived recently, and it's the Mad Necromancer's Basement. This is a system neutral or 5e adventure that the creator has put together. And I just love the content creator's art, and that is why I originally started supporting this content creator, was all their world asset art projects that they have done in the past, and I just really like what they create, and that is why I continue to support them. This wasn't an adventure necessarily that I was going to run or anything. I just want them to keep creating art, and I want to keep supporting them that way. I'm going to jump over to the Kickstarter page so you can kind of see more about why I support this creator. So this is their Kickstarter page for this. You can easily just put in their name and start looking at some of their previous projects. But they're out of Canada. It wasn't terribly expensive for this project, and having it shipped from Canada in the US, it wasn't bad. Didn't have to go far. You can see it was system neutral 5e stats. But let's kind of roll down here to some of the add-on projects. The modular hex tiles is a project I backed previously, and I just love this project. You get a bunch of random hex tiles that you can use to create an adventure. The art's awesome, kind of an old school vibe to the art. And it's just awesome. I just love this concept. I can just mix up these hex tiles in a stack, and I can just pull one out, and then I can just start an adventure. And I love the art. Just awesome. Here it is, kind of zoomed in a little bit. it's just neat. It's just really great stuff, and I've been supporting this content creator for years. This is the first project I backed of theirs, and this is the World Assets project, and this came physical and digital. When I get the digital product, it's a PDF and a PNG file, so I get both sets of files, and that allows me to take these assets and just put them on a hex map like the ones provided here, and I can create my own world maps quickly, easily, and the art is everything I love about map art. It's not super detailed, it just gives me a location and something I have to do. But with the physical assets, the concept was is you could put them on your table and your players could run around the board, and that would be where they were playing. I do it more from the digital side and just print out my own maps. But I just love it. I just love the art, love everything they have. I've got so many different projects from this content creator, and I just love it. It's just good stuff. And they also did color. So if you're not into the black and white, there's all kinds of cool color assets you can put on any kind of board. You could use these with the Loki maps if you wanted to. It's just great stuff. So yeah, this is just another content creator that I just really like to support. Uh, the art is fantastic. It takes me back to the like the game books that I like playing, or just old D&D stuff. Maybe this is why I'm getting so nostalgic about OSR games right now too. Is I'm just really captivated by such awesome art. So take a look at the Kickstarter page and see if this is something you may be interested in. Maybe get the word out and help this creator get some more traction in the gaming industry. Here's kind of a flood of things that I've recently picked up. Philip Reed, who I have been a fan of for a long time, kind of towards the end of the year was on this kick of putting out all these little card sets on Kickstarter. They were all print on demand through DriveThruRPG, and I kind of picked them all up. So I got the deck of chess, deck of potions, Sudden Scum for Morkborg, which you see Morkborg sitting here. On the other side came in a card form and a book form, and all this is stuff inside dungeon rooms that you can just roll up or pull cards from and start having information to play your games. I actually have a plan for all the Philip Reed cards of using them to create a game in Forbidden Solemn, and that's also why I picked up the Morkborg manual, because this is more of a traditional fantasy, especially with the encounters. They're things that we typically see in fantasy games, and I think they'll all blend nicely with everything that Philip Reed has put out. That's why I got them. I have a plan to do something with all this stuff. I just don't know when that's going to happen. But yeah, so that's why I got this information, kind of making it more of a traditional RPG. One of my challenges with the Forbidden Solemn are the creature encounters. It is a miniatures game, and those creatures are not really represented in miniature form. That I could probably get them 3D printed, but I was hoping with all of this, I could just create more of a Morkborg traditional fantasy skirmish version of Forbidden Solemn. I also picked up Sacrifice. I think this was on Amazon. It wasn't expensive. Lots of people talk about it. I figured I would give it a read and see if it's something I am interested in. That's why I ended up with it, and I haven't even read it. And this is something I saw at my local friendly game store, a little indie city game that you're supposed to play with your friends. I really just liked the maps. I was like, these could just look really cool for just generic city maps. But there's a whole game here. Beak, Feather, and Bone, a map labeling RPG, but it is something more to be played with friends. And when I play solo, well, I'm playing by myself. But I just like the map and some of the concepts in here. And that's why I picked it up. I support content creators. I also support local friendly game stores that are selling independent or indie products. So that way they continue to bring in indie products because they're selling. And that's one of the reasons I also purchased it. Daniel over at the Dungeon Dive did a review of Dead Air. And when I was watching the review, it really sparked something in me, and I picked it up because one of my favorite miniature games is called Gaslands. And that is a game where we take Hot Wheels and we convert them and we make them into kind of post-apocalyptic style cars. And I am very deep into this game. I have created some awesome cars over the years and own too many Hot Wheels to mention, because all of them want to be converted up into something kind of cool. There's companies out there that make little miniatures for them, and they make all kinds of weapons packs for them. But one of the things the game is lacking is any kind of a narrative hook. All you're really doing is you just go out, race cars, and you're done. And I thought, well, maybe Dead Air would be a great little game that I could take and create more of a narrative story for playing the game. And me and my friends can create teams, and I can do the whole radio announcement concept using these rules. I reviewed another radio style game, but that was more, pirate radio. This is actually very specific to kind of a post-apocalyptic world, and that is why I kind of gravitated towards it. And I thought it would be just something really cool to add into my Gaslands games. And then I could do a little narrative, like radio announcer talking about the race and the winners and everything that kind of happened, and just kind of build that narrative story similar to Death Race, when you had the announcer kind of broadcasting about the race and who was alive and dead during the race and all that. So I thought this would be cool, and that's why I picked it up. I haven't done anything with it, but sometimes when you see these indie projects like this, you kind of jump on them when you can, because eventually they may not get reprinted, especially if it was a Kickstarter or something like that. So I saw it, I grabbed it, and I moved on. Across 1,000 Dead Worlds. So this is an awesome solo RPG book from Black Oath Entertainment, and I picked this up after seeing a review of it online. I got to keep it at kind of a sharp angle, just simply because the pages are black and the glare is just too much for the camera. But this is just totally solo game, and I'm hoping I can use this and maybe pull in some of that concept from that 40K rules and maybe create more of a downtime type of a game in the 40K universe. But yeah, I picked it up. It's just a great little solo book. Lots of charts to roll on, lots of things to play in the sci-fi. And playing sci-fi is not necessarily easy, and I'm hoping this will make it a little bit more approachable and enjoyable to play. I did do a review of Death in Space, and I actually played Death in Space, and I don't know, I just didn't really feel as captivated, but that was like my first time playing solo in a sci-fi world, so maybe I'll reapproach it using this. But yeah, Across 1,000 Dead Worlds, and it's a zine size book, and it's thick, and it's got lots of information in it. 12 Years is another Kickstarter that I backed. I've got the collector's edition, comes with a nice box to put everything in, and came with the foil cover plus the regular cover and all kinds of other stuff like campaign journals and adventures and just all kinds of cool stuff. It also came with a cassette tape, which I don't own a cassette player, but luckily the creator sent some MP3s over, so I don't have to go out and buy a Walkman to listen to this. But I probably should, especially since I'm going to do old school essentials. I should probably see if I can find an old Walkman and just have that on when I'm playing the game, playing some cool old cassettes and cool stuff like that. But either way, Max Moon Games, I just backed this. It's got a lot of people talk about this game online. And when I saw the Kickstarter was going up, I just jumped on it, and I'm not disappointed with what was delivered. I have still not dove into this game. I will get into it when I have some free time, but this is what happens. We see these Kickstarters and we get kind of excited about them. And then when they finally arrive at our doorstep, we've got like five other things that we're doing or working on other projects, or our interests have shifted slightly to something else. And we just need to get our minds back into this and why we backed it. And that's the downside. Kickstarters take time. I'm still waiting on Kickstarters that were supposed to be delivered in 2022. I'm sure when they finally arrive, they may not get any attention right away. But I am excited about 12 years. It's got a lot of great buzz in the community, and I'll get to it. It's just going to be a matter of time. I am not immune from jumping on the hype train and backing projects on Kickstarter simply because of the buzz in the community. Wanting to be part of that latest and greatest whatever. And Shadow Dark is no exception to that. As you can see, I did the all in. I got the collector's edition, the regular edition. I got all the expansions. I have not really dove into the rules so much. I kind of started skimming through them. It was very reminiscent of 5e. And, it's fine. It's just a cool little fantasy book rule set. I do think the books are a little bit thick for their size. Like, this is like a zine size, and that's a heck of a thick book. The collector's edition's even thicker because it's better quality paper. But I'm really impressed with these Cursed Scroll books, and this is number 2. And this one really reminded me of Dark Sun, an old D&D adventure world. It has gladiatorial combat, and it's kind of on a desert planet. Those are the only similarities to it. But I just kind of liked it. It was a good read, and I'm probably going to run through this at some point. And I will probably use the pre-generated characters that came with this game. Here they are. I'll probably use the pre-generated characters and probably use the cool monsters. The art's awesome. I really like the art. It goes back to the same reason why I support that Kickstarter creator, because I just like the art. The only down thing that I'm going to say about this product is the packing and shipping was terrible. Both of my books have bent corners because they were just they were shrink wrapped. They were just put in a box, and they just put a couple pieces of crumpled paper on top of the box, so they were just shifting all around. I'm really disappointed in how my collector's edition happened. This corner's trashed, that corner's trashed, and up here's trashed. I'm gonna try to fix them. I'm gonna try to inject some very watered down PVA glue in the folds over here and try to flatten them out and press them and see if I can fix these corners. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I don't think there's anything I can do about this corner. I think it's just lost, and that's just something I'll have to deal with. That's kind of the trials and tribulations of shipping. The carriers don't care what's in the box, and the boxes get tossed around, and it's up to the company that's shipping them to ensure that there's should have been paper wrapped around the inside of the product, because the box was a lot bigger than the books, so that they wouldn't go hitting the corners. But it is what it is. But yeah, so hype train. I jumped on it. I'm keeping myself off that train as best as possible. I know there's some other big Kickstarters out right now, and I'm just like, too many fantasy games. This should be enough to help entertain me in the 5e world. And I'm getting into old school essentials and older RPGs. So I shouldn't need any more RPGs in the fantasy realm. Speaking of Kickstarters that have not shown up yet, but I did receive something for them, Knave. And this is what I'm actually really looking forward to. But I did receive my Knave patch, so I'm patched in. I'm part of the Knave gang. Anyways, I got my patch. I did receive my digital books, and it should be shipping out soon. And I'm going to do a deep dive into the Knave stuff because I like Ben's work. I've been a fan of his channel for a while, and I've messed around with some of his games when they were zines. Now this is Knave's second edition, and I backed everything. So I'm getting all of the other supplements that he has, all physical copies, and we'll do a dive into that when it arrives. But yay, I'm patched in. Last thing I'm going to talk about is Forge Fantasy Open Role Playing Game Engine. I think Daniel did a review of this, or Geek Gamer did a review of it. Somebody did a review of it, and I saw the review, and I'm like, I need that, and then I bought it, and it's neat. I haven't done anything really with it quite yet. I am going to be launching a solo art, series again. I like doing little series about setting up games and getting games up and running, and I'm probably going to use some of this for that. But yeah, this was just again, I just like everybody else end up buying stuff because you see a review and you're just like, I want to get that in my collection, and that's how I ended up with Forge. So that clears my backlog of stuff for 2023. 2024, I've already got some Kickstarters that will be arriving early on in 2024, Nave particularly, but I also have some other stuff coming in still that I'm excited about, and I'll get on the channel when they arrive. I'll probably do another format like this, get some stuff in, just do a big shotgun approach of just kind of showing everything and why I bought it. As you can see, I got a little carried away last year with Kickstarters and pre-ordering and picking stuff up, and it happens. I'm just that way. I did the same thing at Gen Con. I just bought a bunch of stuff that I like. This looks cool, so I bought it. And now I have the usual problem that everybody has. I have to thin my collection down and find room for all the new cool stuff that I got. It's just part of life. But anyways, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for 2024. I'll be coming back with more videos, more solo stuff, also getting a little bit more into the miniature painting side of things, kind of showing off some of the models that I'm painting for different projects and things like that. So thank you very much and have a great day. Bye.